Peace and love, family. Peace and love. Peace and love. We will be starting in a few. Just let some more people come on here. Also, we're sharing it. So give us a few and we'll be right back on. Get your notebooks, get your pads. Welcome, family. Welcome, welcome. We will be starting shortly. Just wait for some more people to come on, and we'll also sharing it as well. If you could, while you're here, make sure that you click like and subscribe, and also share to your family and friends that you may know who may be interested in receiving this education on just truly what holistic health is. Um, so make sure you share. What's going on, family? Welcome, 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 everybody. Peace, love, and balance and prosperity to the family. It is your brother, your servant, your herbalist, the healing strategist, Mikael Ben Or. I want to welcome you all to the Edenic Experience. This is Mike Mondays, and today we're actually going to be talking about a topic I believe is very crucial to talk about, especially for our sisters. Seeing that this is becoming a common theme, especially for our women. And a lot of sisters are looking at it as a common theme and not looking at it as a situation where it's really a warning and an alarm that there is a hormonal imbalance going on. And that's dealing with vaginal yeast infection. And we'll be talking about various vaginal issues, but yeast infection is the most common one. And a lot of once we go through this lecture, you'll realize that a lot of why you're going through vaginal yeast infections is just due to miseducation. the miseducation on body and skin products, the miseducation on sex, the miseducation on picking your partner, the miseducation on your clothes that you wear, and the miseducation on your really your value. Because once you actually see how powerful and wonderful your body is made, and why you just cannot let any man in, or in this case, in this society, even a woman in, it's because one imbalanced frequency, one imbalanced vibration, one imbalanced pH level that is swapped between you and the person can be a detriment even to your very vagina. You have to understand your vagina is like a portal. It is a gateway. Things come in and things go out, right? Seeing that birth is a major factor, especially healthy birth, natural birth, by way of vaginal birth. It's very, very important. And depending on the health of your womb and depending on the health of your vagina, you can really have a great chance of having a healthy birth or a great chance of having a detrimental birth that will put you, not only you, but your child is at risk. So it's important that you all really take notes tonight, because we have to start taking pure and real steps towards true holistic health. Health is not just dealing with food. Health is dealing with knowledge, it's dealing with information, it's dealing with clothes, it's dealing with body products, it's dealing with community, it's dealing with spirituality. All these are major components of health. If you actually look up the definition of holistic health, you really can't be healthy without all three components being in one, being in agreement, which is the mind, body, and soul. If you have one component off, you might as well say the whole component or the summary of your body is off, because you are not just flesh. You are spirit and you are also conscious. So you're dealing with your spiritual health, your mental health, and your physical health. And if you like, let's just deal with, for example, a person dealing with anxiety, are they just dealing with something mental, or is there also something physical being deteriorated as well? A lot of people don't understand that anxiety is dealing with not only your adrenal levels being off or imbalanced, but also your thyroid being off. You'll find a lot of people who dealing with anxiety have thyroid issues. Either they dealing with hypothyroidism or they dealing with hyperthyroidism, right? Even when we get down to, let's say, like dementia, you'll see people with dementia are dealing with thyroid issues, are dealing with nervous system issues. Although dementia is dealing with your perception of life, your mental functionality in life. But there's always a physical component that backs up a mental component. And if there's a physical component that backs up a mental component, we can also say there must be a spiritual component to it as well. And you'll actually see people who are dealing with a lot of mental issues and even down to health issues is because they are not in alignment, or they don't have a healthy, balanced spiritual walk with our Creator. And that's just facts. That's scientifically proven. But for today, we're going to deal with the vaginal, right? And so when we look at the vaginal area of a woman, 75% of women per year is going to run into a vaginal yeast infection or some type of vaginal infection, period. Even out of that 75% as a whole, 45% of those women are having reoccurring issues. And we're not necessarily looking at the external. We often look at the internal, which you should, but sometimes there's external factors of why you're dealing with that issue. When we look at the vaginal area by nature is acidic. And now we have to even get that understanding down of when we're dealing with acid and alkaline, dealing with the basis of it, right? Because let's just be honest, there are teachers who teach that, there should be no signs of acidity at all in you, right? And they promote that you should be totally 110% alkaline, right? But that's technically and scientifically and biochemically not how the body works. It works in medians. It works in a base. It works in a balance. or you're balancing alkalinity, which is the function, or I'm sorry, acidity, which is the function, and alkalinity, which is the natural chemical makeup of the body. And I always go over this. You're talking about DNA, deribonucleic acid. So we know even down to the intra level of your cells, you're dealing with acid base. When we look at hydrochloric acid, which plays a major factor in helping break down your food. You see that? Even when you look at the lymph nodes that works with the lymphatic system, that's inside that chews acid. It also has acid chemicals in it as well. But then you look at the blood, which is alkaline. And you look at the mucosal membrane, the mucus, which is alkaline. If you're dealing with men, if you look at their semen, it is alkaline. The equal opposite of that is a woman's vagina, which is acidic, which is why we have to make sure when we come together that there's balance on both sides. Because if there's an imbalance with the man and if there's an imbalance with the woman, this is where we find ourselves having chemical imbalances. And that's what we're going to go through today. So when you actually look at the woman's vagina on a pH scale, it actually sits, it measures, it's supposed to measure between 3.8 to 4.5. But what they're not telling you is it really should stay between 3.8 and 3.9. Why? Because that's on the acidic side. Once you start getting into the fours, now you're dealing with the alkaline side of chemistry, right? And you'll see as the acid numbers go down and build more towards up the alkalinity, this is where you start to see a growth and overgrowth of bacteria, or an imbalance in her hormones, or her estrogen levels is imbalanced. See, just like for the man, when you see his semen levels is becoming more acidic and not staying on the alkaline side, which will go into his side too, so you can see how it's important for him. But you will see as he goes more on the acidic side of chemistry versus the alkaline side of chemistry, he starts to have hormonal imbalances as well. So typically a woman's vaginal secretions, her vaginal area should stay between 3.8 and 3.9. Make sure y'all write that down. So like I said before, most women are going through this every year. And for some, if not really more than half, are having reoccurring issues. And why is that? Right? So when we look at some of the vaginal issues, you have bacterial vaginosis. What is bacterial vaginosis? Bacterial vaginosis is when there's an overgrowth of bacteria in the vaginal area due to an imbalanced hormone. And I'm going to give y'all all the reasons why there is imbalance or what can cause an imbalance, right? Then you have vaginitis, right? So we have bacterial vaginosis, which is an overgrowth of bacteria due to hormonal imbalance. But you have vaginitis, which is when your vagina is actually inflamed. So then you have trichomoniasis, which is actually a parasitic bacteria, which means the bacteria is now working against the bacteria and it's starting to birth these microorganisms called parasites. Then you got candida, which is most common, right, for women, which is nothing but yeast. It's nothing but the yeast infection being built up again. And this is all rooted and surfaced around hormonal balances. So when you look at bacterial vaginosis, right? Bacterial vaginosis, anytime the estrogen levels of a woman's vagina starts to become imbalanced, you have an overgrowth. And it has to start to overcompensate because of imbalances. Now we would have to look at, right? Let's check this out. What's in charge of the estrogen levels? What is in charge of the estrogen levels in women? Make sure this is right. My picture's up. If y'all can see me, y'all can hear me. Can y'all see that picture? If y'all can see this picture, drop some ones in the chat. I just want to make sure y'all see. Can y'all see this picture? If y'all can see this picture, drop some ones in the chat. I want to make sure y'all can see it. Okay. Peace and love to the Brad TV. Peace and love to you. So now, when we look at a woman's estrogen levels, right, you have something called the ovarians or the ovaries, which you can see right here, right? Let me go to my picture. You can see right here, right? This is actually what is in charge of producing your estrogen levels. Anytime you have your estrogen levels up and down, it's because there's an imbalance in your ovaries, right? Now, again, remember, the root of all these, from bacterial vaginosis, from trichomoniasis to vaginitis to candida, is a hormonal imbalance. So when you look at a hormone imbalance, which the main hormone for that female to become a female, obviously, is estrogen. Anytime the estrogen levels is up or down, or pretty much, let's say, not in balance, is because the ovarian levels is out of balance. Now, what are some things that will cause this ovarian level, the hormonal levels, to become out of balance? Make sure I write this down. You will find out that antibiotics, most people don't even know what antibiotics mean. Anti meaning against, bio means life. When you look at biochemistry, it is the study of cellular life, or we can even go into bacterial life, because we have two sets of cells. You have your eukaryotic cells, which is your human cells. You have 150 trillion cells in your body. 50 trillion of those cells are eukaryotic cells. Those are what you call your earthly cells. But then, as melanated people, black people, we have something called prokaryotic cells. These prokaryotic cells have no beginning nor end. They're constantly multiplying and duplicating and replicating and regenerating without no end and cannot die off. Well, these are what you say you can find in the heavenly elements. This is what you call your bacterial cells. Seeing that bacteria, or what we know as bacteria, is mushrooms. It's actually the oldest plant in the world, and nobody can actually put a beginning of bacteria. All they can say is that it was there since the beginning of time. Well, guess what? As black people, melanated people, we have these prokaryotic bacterial cells. So anytime you're dealing with your ovaries, right? Not only are you dealing with an imbalance of your estrogen, but you're also dealing with an imbalance in your microbiota, your bacterial levels, that will go into the vaginal liquid that the woman carries, which lubricates her vagina. So like I was saying, antibiotics, anything that's against something, that means is attacks. So when a woman takes antibiotics, or let's say when she has a yeast infection, one of the main things they tell you to do is take what? Antibiotics. But the problem with taking antibiotics is not only does it kill the bad bacteria, but it also kills the good bacteria. So you're not even able to find balance in your bacterial levels or your microbiotas due to the antibiotic attacking the good bacteria and attacking the good cells, like the epithelial cells, which is also in a woman's vagina. You see that? You see that? Another one is processed foods. Yes, your diet has a major factor to play on your bacterial levels or your hormonal levels in your body, especially processed foods, synthetic chemicalized foods that literally throws not even just women, but men's hormonal balance off too, which is why you see it, and we're going to go over this too, but this is why you see a mass levels of men going through erectile dysfunction, like drinking excess of alcohol, smoking cigarettes, Black and Milds, smoking synthetic estrogenic weed, which is not even real cannabis. It's chemicalized, lab-made cannabis that they're giving y'all. You see that? Another thing that can throw the balance off in your hormones is stress. And that's a major factor, because every which way we turn in this this matrix, this structure causes stress, whether it be our jobs, whether it be this war against the black man and black woman, whether it be families divided, whether it be war in our communities, whether it be media, us trying to live up to an image that is not us. These are all ways that will secrete or activate stress hormones, which is, if stress is a part of throwing off the bacterial levels or hormonal levels of the vagina, we then can also say that your adrenal glands is playing a major part or throwing off your hormonal levels, which means that your adrenal glands has a certain control or can control the hormonal levels of even your vagina, of even your vagina. Seeing that your adrenal glands is in charge of your stress hormonal levels, dealing with adrenaline and dealing with cortisol. And anytime you overproducing too much cortisol and adrenaline that's getting dumped off into the blood, it starts to create an overproduction of stress hormones or acidic environment, which in your case, it will start to push you towards the alkalinity side. And anytime you start to push the lines of the alkalinity side, you start to see an overgrowth of bacteria. Y'all follow me? Another one is birth control. And I get it, right? And I'm going to tell y'all something. By the end of this, we're going to see we have to have a different perspective. We have to have a different perspective on how we value ourselves, even down to who we're allowing in our body, or even for men, who you are allowing yourself to be inserted to. Because dealing with the wrong person's vibration and energy can literally, on a health tip, throw off your whole hormonal levels. It ain't necessarily always got to be with an STD. You could be dealing with an STD called a spiritually transmitted disease, because we are energy, right? We are energy, we are spirit. And anytime you working with the wrong frequency, it can disrupt the waves. It can disrupt the frequency waves. So yeah, when we get down to it, we're trying to use birth control, which is literally affecting our hormonal balances, which I'm pretty sure my sisters can attest to, all due to us being hypersexual. But what if we valued ourselves enough to say, you know what? I am going to take my elders' advice and not have sex till marriage. See, we always try to alternative way to get what we want while still trying to preserve ourselves. And the problem with the black community is that we're dealing with too much selective morality. And we're willing to take alternative measures, as they say, to have our cake and eat it too. But the problem with that is every which way you turn, when you're trying to have these alternative measures, not only are you losing integrity, but you're losing bacterial and energetic and hormonal and cellular integrity. All in the name of wanting to get your rocks off. So you're willing to put your vagina and your womb, and even your future children, if you plan on having it, at risk, all in the name of having sex with somebody you don't even know if you want to commit to. This is things you got to think about. So birth control also throws off your hormonal levels in your vagina. Another one is condoms. You see that? This is all going back to the woman respecting her vagina and respecting her womb and having value on it, knowing that it should be looked at as a precious jewel, a precious ruby, even as the scriptures say, a ruby, right? Who can find it? Who can obtain it? That means it's a hard thing for any man to really obtain, because it's so precious and it's so high value that it takes a special man to receive it or get it. And if women start to look at their vagina and their womb the same way, you would not see 75% of our women going through vaginal yeast infection, vaginitis, bacterial vaginosis, trichomoniasis, candida. And no, it's not. Most of this is not due to sex. Most of this actually is due to the diet and stress hormones, right? So another one, which is a big one, Another thing that can actually throw off the hormonal balances or cause an overproduction of yeast or overproduction of bacteria in the vagina is panties, y'all. Did you know that your clothes carry a certain frequency? And depending on the cloth that you wear, it can have a high frequency like linen and cotton, or a very low frequency like which is really the suppressive frequency like nylon, like polyester. So when you actually look at even the yeast infection, a lot of the reasons why women are going through yeast infection, this is scientifically proven, is because a lot of y'all wearing nylon or synthetic chemicalized panties that's literally suffocating your vagina. It's suffocating your vagina, and you're not allowing your secretions to properly breathe. You're not allowing your discharge to properly flow, and you're suffocating it, and you're suppressing it, so it's not properly able to breathe properly and ventilate properly. Yes, panties also can cause you to have candida and can cause you to go through vaginitis. It can, especially if you're dealing with cloth that suppresses you like nylon and like polyester. And y'all, everything I'm saying, y'all can look up. I don't want y'all to just to believe me. I want y'all to actually look this up and either prove me right or prove me wrong. But yes, panties. And if you ask me, now, of course, we living in a world, unfortunately, where our women are getting attacked daily. I just saw a video today, man. It broke my heart. What's the sister's name? Sonia Macy, right? I guess it happened in July 6th, man. I pray the Most High gives her justice, man, because these police officers pretty much gunned her down for no reason, right? Gunned her down like a dog for no reason. All in the name of her picking up a boiling pot that they were literally talking about and laughing about. And all of a sudden they spazzed out as if they forgot what they were talking about and felt threatened and killed this woman down, straight headshot. So may the Most High rest her soul. But I understand, going back to the point, is I understand why women will wear panties, because it is a sense of protection. It is a sense of protection. Unfortunately, the brotherhood within our community is not doing a good job protecting our women. And so they got to go through even these little measures as wearing panties are in the name of having to protect themselves. But the reality is, if this is my opinion, from my research, what I believe, I don't believe women should be wearing panties. Because when you look at if you're going to wear panties, you should wear 100%, some type of 100% cloth. And if you actually look at it, just like, and this is for anything, not even just your panties, but your clothes, period. You should always wear 100% of one cloth, because it will allow your skin to breathe. It will allow your vagina to breathe. And those two fabrics that actually fit well with the vagina is linen and cotton. Our clothes should be 100% linen and or 100% cotton. Simply seeing that these frequency fabrics is the best fabrics that's suited for the skin, that will not only allow your skin to breathe, but it will allow your skin to actually properly heal, especially linen. Linen actually comes from the flax plant, like flaxseed. It comes from the flax plant, and it has these little circuits of ventilation that allow your skin to breathe even in the hottest weather. But when you're out here wearing polyester, that literally suppresses your skin, and not only suppresses your skin, but it does not even allow you to properly detoxify your body by way of sweat, and it doesn't even absorb the sweat. Therefore, all those toxins that you release it by way of the skin cause sweat is being reabsorbed back in the skin. This is the same principle that applies to the vagina. When you're wearing nylon or polyester panties, and your vagina is trying to secrete itself, and because remember, the whole point of discharge is literally detox. This is the power of the vagina. Your vagina literally on a daily is detoxifying itself. It's detoxifying itself, and it's cleansing itself. And this is why it's important to notice, because wearing nylon and polyester panties does not allow your vagina not only to oxygenate or breathe, but it does not allow your vagina to detoxify itself on a daily. So think about this like mushrooms, right? We know that mushrooms don't need sun, right? Mushrooms technically grow in wet dark bacterial places. And the wetter it is and the darker it is, the more the bacteria spread. What if I said that your vagina is the same exact way? That when you actually suppress it and you keep that moisture on that bacteria, the bacteria starts to spread and it becomes an overproduction of bacteria called candida or called bacterial vaginosis, which then again throws off the whole hormonal estrogenic balance of even your vagina and your whole entirety, just like a mushroom. So you want to be able to make sure there's ventilation that's going through that vagina. So while it's detoxifying, it's breathing. While it's breathing in oxygen, it's releasing, in this metaphoric way, it's releasing carbon dioxide. This is why you shouldn't wear panties. So if you're going to wear panties, it has to be 100% linen and 100% cotton, which goes again to dealing with trichomoniasis. Now we're dealing with the overproduction of bacteria due to sex. Now, the trichomoniasis, the interesting thing is the trichomoniasis is actually the lowest on the list when it comes to vaginal bacterial infections. And I'm saying that because I've noticed that a lot of women think yeast infection come from having sex. Now, can it? Yes. But is that the main cause? No. Most women who are dealing with vaginal bacterial infection has a terrible diet. Has an absolute terrible diet. On top of the black woman specifically, constantly in a stress mode. She's constantly in a fight or flight mode, constantly releasing these stress hormones called cortisol and adrenaline, which actually throws, again, her hormonal levels off and causes the overproduction of bacteria. So her vagina is constantly getting infected due to her environmental factors. And it's not just by way of a man's penis. So when we look at trichomoniasis, again, which is a parasitic, which is called prozo, a parasitic infection, this is when we actually start to see STDs rise. Because what is an STD? It is a sexually transmitted disease. And if most, if not all, sexually transmitted diseases is a parasite, is a parasitic type of disease. It's a microcosmic or microorganism that is being passed by way of bacterial exchange. So yes, this is where the man comes from. And I need my sister to really hear this. This is why you have to be very, very careful. You have to be very, very careful on who you allow inside that portal, who you allow inside that gateway, because they can literally disrupt all the bacterial servants and civilians within your vagina by way of something called the PSA. It's called the PSA, which is the prostate, It's the prostate specific antigen. Now, what is a prostate specific antigen? The prostate specific antigen is actually released by the prostate. Anytime a man ejaculates, the prostate actually sends this chemical protein that actually combines itself to the semen. Now, here's the important thing about this. Once it's combined to that semen and it's shooting through, right? It's shooting through the fallopian tubes to connect with that egg. This, now keep in mind, it's a prostate specific antigen. Now, when you actually look at this antigen called PSA, it has the power to literally not only soothe your immune system, but it has the power to actually shut down your immune system so that your womb will allow one of his seeds and soldiers to come impregnate you. Now, why is that important? Because this is actually the very reason that the vagina is acidic. It's not because it's just a bad thing. It's acidic bait for protection. The whole reason for the vagina to actually be acidic is for protection. Because what does acid do? It burns. This is why when a man is shooting out thousands of seeds at a time. And when you have balance in your vagina on the acidic side of chemistry, your vagina actually is a defense mechanism to not allow all these seeds to enter in. So are you telling me that that my vagina has the choice to allow seed to come in, and based upon her levels, how much seed come in? Absolutely. Absolutely. So now imagine if you're dealing with a man. Now, let me go back real quick, because when you're dealing with the semen is the alkalinity side. It actually stays between the levels of 7.2 to 8 on a pH scale, right? So again, this PSA called prostate-specific antigen attaches to the semen. Its whole total purpose is to literally shut down the woman's immune system so that the proper amount of seed can get into that woman so that he can fertilize and that he can plant seed that will bloom and that she can actually nurture so that he can have a man child or a woman child within his likeness and image. Now imagine when a man's pH level is off. Ooh-wee. Imagine when a man's pH level is off due to his diet, due to his environment, due to what he went through in life. And now you have acid meeting acid. This is not one of those things where a negative and a negative equals a positive. So if he's dealing with the acidic side of chemistry, and you dealing with the acidic side of chemistry, and we know when he's dealing with the acidic side of chemistry, the likelihood of parasites being in his semen is high. Because you're allowing this man to put his semen in you, that's literally suppressing your immune system. You are allowing pathogens to enter into you that will literally not only destroy your womb, but even can cause defects within your baby. And this is where you find yourself having outbreaks and overproduction of discharges in your vagina, because you've let this acidic substance called semen, due to his lifestyle, now throw off the pH level of your vagina. All in the name and all due to your lust to just want to have sex for sport. Ooh. If y'all got some I want to make sure I'm not moving too fast. If y'all understand what I'm saying, drop some 7s in the chat. If y'all understand, drop some 7s in the chat. Y'all understand what I'm saying, drop some 7s in the chat. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Drop some 7s in the chat. We'll move on. Okay, cool. So now that we got that understanding, and overstanding, right? Now let's actually deal with the functionality of vagina. Let's deal with the functionality of the vagina. Let me see what I want to go to. Not that one. Now, when we look at the vagina, right? Remember, I said that on the side of chemistry, the vagina sits on the acidic side. It needs to stay between 3.8 to 3.9, right? Remember, I said also that the estrogenic levels that actually help keep this balance comes from your ovaries or your ovarians, right? But then you have something called the Bartholomew glands. That's these two, you see these great two dots where you look like eyeballs on the side? Now, that shows you that if the vagina is dealing with the gland, that means it's dealing with energy. Now, the important part about this Bartholomew gland, this is actually what helps secrete the liquid, the vaginal liquid. And this liquid is filled with mucus. It's filled with estrogen. It's filled with bacteria. And it's filled with epithelial cells. The whole point of this gland is to not only keep the vagina safe by lubrication, but it's there to keep the pH level of the vagina balanced. So if any bacteria starts to rise, this Bartholomew glands will actually release this secreted mucosa liquid or vaginal liquid, and it not only it will protect the vulva in the vagina from anything that should not be in there called foreign invaders. Y'all see how powerful the vagina is? And I'm not talking to no weirdo. I'm just saying from a biochemistry level and a scientific level, if you start to understand the value of your vagina, if you start to understand the pH level of your vagina, if you start to see this purpose Rather than sitting here saying, well, my vagina is wet, I'm ready. Yes, it does secrete hormonal liquids to say that you're ready, but it's ready in the scientific sense to say you are now protected. So when a man does put his alkaline shaft in you, not only will you not get hurt based upon the size or girth, but if he is producing acidic semen, your pH balance of your vaginal liquid will protect you from that and burn off any infertile cells or sperm cells that he's sending so that you will not get pregnant. Oh, we. So are you saying, Mikael, that a woman, even by her body, can deny a man? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Just like no different than a man. He could be in a woman and he find himself not ejaculating. All in the name of him not being attracted to her or just having this sense of protection over himself. It's possible. But now imagine if you're allowing this man who's semen, whether it be on the alkaline side or acidic side, to constantly ejaculate in you, whether that be pre-ejaculation or mid-ejaculation or even post-ejaculation. Imagine if you're allowing him to keep ejaculating, knowing that he has the PSA, the prostate-specific antigen, attached to his semen, and every time he is ejaculating in you, he is shutting down and weakening your immune system every single time. And you will actually see, as he's weakening your immune system, that his sperm cells, his proteins, is starting to attach itself to your nervous system, which causes these cellular structures to now then start to shoot up to your brain. This is why women actually have a harder time letting men in the past go, because you have, I'm just being honest with you, especially if you're allowing men to ejaculate in you, you have a lot of men's personalities and spirit in you. And it's literally scientifically attaching itself to you. Now, do I believe that you can detoxify yourself from that man's cellular memory or protein? Yes, but you will see, because the prostate, the PSA is so strong that it does take a while. Now, there's some people who say it can't detoxify. I believe, based upon my research, you can detoxify, but you got to do it in the name of love. You got to do it in the name of healing. You got to do it in the name of truly being able to release that man. Release that man, which should put more onus on, if you are in that situation, whether you put yourself in that situation, you just was being ignorant and didn't have discernment, that you shouldn't go to the next man until you have totally, spiritually, mentally, and physically detoxified yourself from that man. That's why you can see women, they will take on the personalities of every man they dealt with, and they will bring it into the relationship. Not because she was just simply around him all the time. That's one way. But literally, if he's ejaculating his spirit in her, his personality in her, his memory in her, she will literally unconsciously start to become that man. You see, a man never becomes that woman, but she will start to assimilate and become that man because of those proteins that he's feeding. Because of that chemical balance, those chemical cells that he's feeding. This is why it's important to know your value. Another thing that can actually throw your bacterial levels off is your skincare products, your soaps, and your creams. These are all synthetically, chemically made products that can literally throw your bacterial levels off, like Dove, like Irish Spring, Jergens, if you use it, Vaseline, this fake cocoa butter, shea butter. They don't even make shea butter the same way they used to. These can actually throw your vaginal levels off. So let's go through it again. What can throw your vaginal levels off? We said what? Antibiotics, birth control pills, condoms, your diet that's full of processed foods or high sugary content foods. Stress. What else did we say? Oh, we said panties as well, right? You should be wearing 100% linen, 100% cotton fabric panties. If you're going to wear panties, like I said, I believe you shouldn't. But in the sense of where we in society today, I understand it. Also, you need to examine the men you're allowing in you. And if you're going to choose a man, hey, listen, women, I'm going to tell y'all something. Y'all so powerful, especially if you're dealing with a real man who understands you. He's willing to change his ways for you just so there's balance. Why am I saying that? Because women, if you, now that you got the science that that man's sperm, that man's semen can literally change the bacterial levels of your vagina. That means if you really love yourself and you feel that this man is the chosen one to come into your portal, to come into your matrix, that means you have the power, if you love yourself, to tell that man, hey, change your diet. Because your diet can change your levels, which can change my levels. And I'm not trying to get my levels changed. Ooh-wee. That's, y'all understand now the importance of understanding what is your moral code. What standards do you live by? What is your principles? Because once you start to assimilate on a bacterial level, on a mental level, on a spiritual level, you are becoming one and you are exchanging at the root. You are exchanging information. And woman, remember, you're receivers. So whatever's in him, you're going to receive. And you have to ask yourself, do you want to receive all of that, what that man brings? Do you want to receive the emotional trauma that he got going on? Do you want to receive the imbalanced bacterial levels that he got going on? Do you want to receive the imbalanced spirituality that he got going on? Because one thing about women will take on that weight and think they can change that man, but you can't. But what will happen, because you want to take on that burden, even on a bacterial level, and at the end of that, you will be affected. You will be affected, and not in a good way. So, if y'all got some understanding, y'all ready to get what you can do to bring the balance back to your vagina, type in some threes. If y'all ready to get the substance that will help bring your bacterial levels balanced, type in some threes. We're about to get to it. Type in some threes. I need 2 more people. Type in some threes, and I'm gonna give y'all what y'all need. All right, so we already went through one thing you need to change, which is your panties. Remember, 100% linen, 100% cotton. That's one way to help get your bacterial levels back right and allow the ventilation in your vagina to properly flow. Because remember, it's constantly what? Breathing in and releasing out. So you want to make sure your vagina is breathing properly. And I would definitely say if you were in the house, you shouldn't wear it at all. And I think, to me personally, I think this is why it's actually important even, and I want to say this too, for women to actually wear more dresses. Because a lot of women are wearing these extremely tight leggings. That's not, you don't even have a pathway for the vagina. At least with the panties, there's a little line that may give you a little breathing room. But in the leggings, you ain't got no way possible for allow your vagina to breathe. So leggings, believe it or not, when leggings start to really come in and women start to really wear them more and more, especially in the public, you saw a high rise in vaginal infections, a high rise. So women, I get it, maybe more comfortable, maybe more convenient, but you got to ask, how healthy do you want your vagina? How healthy do you want your vagina? Not only for your man, but even if you plan on having children, for your children, because you know once that baby comes through that vaginal canal, it's actually eating his face is being wiped by the vaginal bacteria on your vagina. And you definitely don't want to have an imbalanced bacteria flowing in your baby's mouth, his eyelids, or her eyelids and her face. Because that can also affect their immunity. This is actually how the baby builds the immunity coming into the world by the woman's vaginal bacteria. This is why it's important for women to stop getting C-sections. Stop letting these doctors talk you out of it the first time of getting vaginal birth, because they're making between when you get a vaginal birth, they only make 5, maybe 7,000, maybe even 10,000 per vaginal birth. But when you allow them to cut you open and you allow them to literally start to ruin your womb and your stomach, they actually get paid 30 to 40,000 per C-section. When there's so many different alternatives, at least to prepare you. Now, I ain't no extremist. I can understand if it's just detrimental and there's nothing you can do. But we have to start taking the onus and responsibility back and saying, let me try every way possible natural before I try the alternative way. Yes, C-section is an alternative way. Pharmaceutical medicines is an alternative way. Dove soap and Irish Spring is an alternative way of cleaning yourself. When there is natural, aboriginal, organic ways to clean yourself, to have births, to have sex, there's organic ways. But we have been so synthesized and genetically modified that we're going to go with the thing that's more convenient and complacent for us. Easy access. And we got to get out of that mindset of being so dependent, economically and politically dependent. We need to be sovereign dependent. We're depending on our sovereignty. We're depending on our community for all things. And there's enough of us out here where we have business for everything. So there should be no excuse why we're not allowing the money to funnel through our community before going outside of our community. But that's for another conversation. So if y'all ready, here we go. Kid, seeing that your vagina is on the acidic side, the best thing for you to do, seeing that not only is on the acidic, but we're dealing with hydration too, is you want an acidic fruit that has hydration in it too. The number one fruit I would suggest to help bring your bacterial levels balanced is berries. Berry is an antioxidant. Berry is an anti-fungi. Berries. Berries is an antioxidant. Berries is an anti-fungi, antimicrobiota. So not only does it bring oxygen to your vagina, but it balances out your microbiota and your bacterial levels. Another one is papaya. Papaya is on the acidic side, and it's a good detoxifier, a very good detoxifier. Another one is lemons and limes. So those are some good fruits that you can eat. As far as vegetables, collards, kale, spinach, your leafy greens pretty much is very good. So pretty much if I had to give you an ultimate plan to do, the best way to balance out your bacterial levels is going on I would say all fruit cleanse, but maybe like 60% of it being acidic fruits, your oranges, your pomegranates, your grapefruit, your papaya, your berries, your grapes, especially stuff with high antioxidants. And then 40% being your hydrational fruits, like your melons. Your melons. Now, I want to show y'all something because I believe some sisters understand this or know about this, but I want to suggest it to y'all if y'all don't. And it's actually called a yoni steam, right? Yoni steam. Yoni steam is the external way of how you can cleanse your vagina. Now, when you look at the yoni steam, how you use the yoni steam is you get a box like this, or you can get like a stool. You want to be careful with the metal stools, obviously, because it's gonna be hot, it's gonna be heat. You don't want to burn your cheeks, right? But yoni steam is actually a good way to externally cleanse your vagina of any overproduction of bacteria, and it helps reset your bacterial levels. And pretty much what you would do is you take this wooden square stool like they have, and it's actually a hole. It's actually a hole in the middle of it that literally pretty much wraps your vagina. And you take about, I would say, the measurements, it varies, but if I had to say, I would take about maybe 20 to 30 ounces of spring water. Now, obviously, the more water you have, the more heat applies. And remember, it is a detox. It is a detox. So you'll heat up that water and you will put it in that square box. And then it usually is a bowl in the middle of it. And you'll put the water in it. And now write this down. These are some good herbs that you can use. Mugwort, calendar, lavender, right? You also got oregano. Now, oregano is very good because what does it do? It cleanses out parasites. Red clover bud, sweet wormwood. And what happens is you'll steam your vagina for about 30 minutes. 30 minutes. And just to warn y'all, going through this yoni steam would cause you to discharge. But remember, we're trying to eliminate, so discharging is a good thing. And it will start to flush and cleanse out that bacteria. You also may find your filtration system activated by way of your urinary system. So you may find yourself urinating, and that's okay to urinate in the bowl. It's okay. So yoni steaming, I would say about twice a week, 30 minutes each session. Depending on how bad it is, you can go 30 minutes each session, and you have them herbs. You can actually take those same exact herbs, and you can actually drink it as a tea. Now, I'm not saying drink the tea that's in the bowl. But what I'm saying is you could take some of that tea before putting it in the bowl, and while you're yoni steaming, you can actually take the tea as well. You see that? So this is actually how you will start to reset your vaginal bacterial levels or your pH levels in your vagina. It's external and it's internal. But remember, you got to change your environment so you won't have these environmental factors affecting your hormonal levels, like stress, like sleeping with men who you know you're not gonna marry, or you don't see something with, and you wearing a condom, because that's another thing. The lubricant on the condom actually what causes breakouts, and it causes the woman's bacterial levels to go off, because now you're dealing with a synthetic lubricant, which is on the condom versus the natural lubricant, which is in that woman's vagina. Okay, antibiotics, birth control. There's even certain tampons you should not use. Not only and here's the crazy thing. I've seen reports where you will see that there are certain tampons that will cause a parasitic reaction in the woman's vagina as if it's an STD. This is why you got to be careful what you put in you, because it can affect you, family. It can affect you. So with that being said, I'm gonna open up the floor for any questions. Anybody have any questions about what we went over? Make sure you make it about the lesson. You got any questions what we went over? You could drop it in the chat. I'll answer. I'm gonna give y'all about 3 minutes. If y'all got any questions. Other than that, please make sure that y'all click like and subscribe. The channel, please share. Please share with your family and friends. If you do have any questions after this live, if you see the screen going across, if you have any questions outside of this, make sure, or if you're watching the playback, if you have any questions, make sure you email us at questions@theedenticexperience.org. Make sure y'all check out our website at www.theedenticexperience.org, which y'all see on the screen. For any of our products, we do have products for women called the Women's Estrogen Balance. Not only helps to clean the woman's vagina, but it helps obviously reset her estrogenic levels. We also have something called the Cycles of Life Tea Package. It gives you a full body cleanse. That's for anybody, but it does also help cleanse the vagina based upon what we have gotten from our clients and our customers who work with us. You said the list of herbs. You got calendar. You got red clover bud, which is another antioxidant and it helps cleanse the blood. You got lavender. You got mugwort. You got sweet wormwood. You got oregano leaf. Oh, another one I forgot is you got basil leaf too. Basil leaf. These are all good herbs that not only can you use for your yoni steam, but you can take as an actual tea, and you can encapsulate those same herbs, equal parts too. And you can take this on a daily, and it will literally help with your estrogenic levels and making sure your vaginal area is properly cleansed. But you got to do the work too. But remember, processed food, which a lot of us eat, unfortunately, who has adopted the American standard diet called a SAD diet. We got to get away from these processed foods. We got to get away from these high sugary content foods, these carbohydrates that are literally throwing off our emotional and energetic and hormonal levels. It's literally destroying our cells. It's literally dehydrating our cells. This is why most of us die, because the diet is the food. I'm telling y'all. Your emotions is off because your food. You're going through erectile dysfunction because your food. Your vagina is dry because your food. Your period keep coming more than once a month because your food. You're having an overproduction of blood through your menstrual cycle because your food. You're over acidic or you over alkaline. For y'all women, your levels is off. This is why, due to your food. And then you add the matrix of stress that we are living in. That is another benefactor to your detriment. So we have to change the internal and external environment for us to truly reach a level of homeostasis, family. We have to. Pretty much what I'm telling you. As far as the question was, how do you detoxify the man? His proteins, his PSA from your body. You got to go on a physical cleanse. I would suggest definitely going on an all fruit cleanse. You got to go on an environmental cleanse. Change your environment. Anything that has a memory of that man, whether that be music, whether that be places, you got to change it. So it will not provoke a thought of distress or dis-ease. We went over the herbs. But remember, he's dealing with prostate, specific antigens. So these clearly are antibodies, right? We're dealing with microorganisms. So you want to definitely do a parasitic cleanse, a parasite cleanse, which we have on our website called Pathogen Remover. And that's pretty much it. I'm not the one to say he'll stay in you forever. But I will tell you the truth that when he does ejaculate in you, he does connect to your nervous system, especially if you're doing it over time. You want to detoxify, you want to flush that lymphatic system of the brain. You want to cleanse that blood. You want to cleanse that vaginal area. King Todd World, peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Shalom, shalom. How long should you stay on fruit? I always recommend if you've never done a fruit cleanse before, or if you've never done a cleanse period, I do always suggest that start slow. Start with a day, and then every week build up every 2 days. So you start the day 1 week, the next week go 3 days. The week after that, go 5 to 6 days, go 7 days. But ultimately, I think on a quarterly level, you should detox 21 days each quarter. So I mean, 4 times a year, you should do a 21-day all fruit cleanse. This will actually keep your levels balanced, and this will keep homeostasis. On top of adding daily regimens, like eating based upon your circadian rhythm, your biological clock. If you follow those time periods of when you should eat and when you shouldn't eat, you will still find balance in your health. I answer one more question, family. One more question. Again, while y'all on this live, please make sure y'all click like and subscribe to the channel. Share with your family and friends. Make sure y'all check out the website, www.theauthenticexperience.org. And also, if you have any questions after this live, or if you're watching this feedback, email us at questions@theauthenticexperience.org, and we will do our best to get back to you at a timely fashion. Do you have fertility supplements? Absolutely. Are you talking about somebody who's already got pregnant? Or are you talking about somebody who's trying to get pregnant? If you're talking about somebody who's trying to get pregnant, it's the same thing. It's all dealing with fertility, to be honest with you, going through this same regimen. Because the only way you keep a place of being fertile naturally and at a optimum level is keeping your pH balance level. That's the only way. A lot of time when a woman cannot produce or have children, or her vagina is not getting wet enough, and she's having very I would say rough sex, unnatural sex, is because her pH level is off. So if you follow this same routine, cleaning your womb, cleansing your vagina, doing the cleanse every quarter, this is how you keep your fertility level up. And this is important too, family. You should be eating at least 80 to 85% raw daily. You should be eating 80 to 85% raw fruit daily. Now, I don't mean raw meat. I'm talking about raw fruits, vegetables, and nuts. Nuts have a lot of fatty acids, omega-3s. Not only builds the muscles, but it strengthens the cells. And it keeps the acid levels, like we talked about, balanced, especially avocados. Avocados are extremely good. Vegetables strengthen the womb as well. Vegetables. And obviously fruit brings hydration to the cells. So if you add, I'm telling y'all, if you add these routines, I don't care what your diet is, if you do 80 to 85% raw daily and you cleanse 4 times a year for 21 days straight on all fruits, or even if you do fruits, raw fruits and vegetables, 21 days, you will receive homeostasis. You will find holistic health balance. These are simple things, no matter what your diet is. Now, of course, if we're dealing with the molecular structure and what it needs and what diet best suits the body, especially for the Black man and woman, it is a raw plant-based diet. Facts. And if y'all didn't see my lesson or lecture a couple weeks ago, soul food or slave food, it is actually proven that the original man, prehistorically, was predominantly plant-based. Even the caveman. Add these regimens. For my brothers and sisters, you will see a change in your health. You will see a change in your health, your energy, your sleep patterns, your wake patterns, your moods, your energy and motion. You will see a change in your perception of life. You will start to love things more. You will start to love people more. You will start to love creation more. You have more patience. You have more mercy with people. You'll learn longevity, long suffering. You'll pick up better discernment because your mind is now clear and is able to make sound decisions. Yes, your diet plays a major part even on your decision making. Most people who are heavy carnivore, heavy meat eaters and don't eat enough vegetables are very impatient. And they're very angry. And they're very hostile. And the reality is they're taking on the personality of the very thing they're eating. Because you literally are what you eat. You literally are what you eat, because not only does animals carry DNA, but guess what? Also carries DNA. Plants, it's called chlorophyll. And animals or creation, it's called blood. Both of these carry deribonucleic acid or information by way of photosynthesis or biosynthesis. That carries information based upon the molecular structure of that entity. And when you eat that entity, it becomes a part of you. No different again. If you're having sex with a certain man, that man becomes a part of you. So you are what you consume, literally, sexually, spiritually, and mentally, family. I am on a vegetarian diet, so I will add this. All praises to the Most High. So with that being said, man, I love y'all in spirit and in truth. Again, make sure y'all subscribe, share, comment, and like. Share with your family. This is Mikael Ben Or. This your brother, your servant, your herbalist, the healing strategist. And make sure y'all check out our website. This is the Authentic Experience. Now, again, I welcome you all to Mike Mondays, and I will see y'all next week. Peace, love, balance, and prosperity, family. Peace, peace.